Access to Democracy is made possible by donations from the following organizations. Thomson Reuters, a global company with expertise and insight to unravel complex situations in the areas of law, tax, compliance, government, and media. Their worldwide network of journalists and editors keep customers up to speed on relevant global events. Thomson Reuters, The Answer Company. Crutchfield Dermatology, a full-service treatment center and Medi-Spa in Eagan. Their goal is to help you look good and feel great with beautiful skin. The Minnesota Twins are looking forward to another great season in 2023, led by the return of All-Stars Carlos Correa and Brian Buxton. With the return of numerous players who were injured in 2022 and some new acquisitions, another division crown and a return to the World Series are in their sights. Established in 2007, 45th Parallel Spirits was among the first 50 micro-distilleries in the United States. Based in New Richmond, Wisconsin, all aspects of production occur at our facility. If you're interested in visiting and learning more about the 45th Parallel Distillery, please check our website and plan a visit to tour our facility and taste our spirits. Truestone Financial, with locations in Minnesota and Wisconsin, has proudly served its members since 1939. Truestone engages, educates, and supports its members to ensure they have the tools to empower their financial well-being. Truestone Financial, your neighborhood credit union. Learn more at truestone.org.
Welcome to Access to Democracy, and thank you for joining us. I'm Bill Raker, your host for this edition of the program. We're excited to welcome as our guest today Sarah Lindner, who's the Director of Advancement for DARTS. And Sarah's going to tell us all about DARTS, but before we start that conversation, Sarah, tell us a little bit about yourself, your background, and your role at DARTS, and how you got involved with that organization.
Sure, yes. So I'm presently the Director of Advancement for DARTS. We are a nonprofit in West St. Paul, serving all of Dakota County and South Washington County. We work with older adults, and our mission is to create connections that enrich aging. Before joining DARTS, I worked with United Way for many years out of Red Wing. We served Goodhue, Wabasha, and Pierce counties, and there I did some work helping with rural homelessness and childhood literacy. Nonprofit work is near and dear to my heart. I love seeing at the end of the day that the work we do together matters. I came to DARTS Actually, I learned about DARTS 15 years ago, so I've been with DARTS for a year, but volunteered with them previously. So I worked at Blue Cross Blue Shield of Minnesota ages ago, working on their volunteer council, and we put into place volunteer PTO so our employees could get out into the community and make a difference. And DARTS was one of those early nonprofit partners that we worked with to get our employees out into the community. The departments loved helping older adults, seeing the difference they could make in their life through things like outdoor chores, grocery shopping, and even visiting. And I'll tell you a little bit more about my story later. Yeah, we want to get into a little bit more about what your role is at DARTS. But before we do that, tell us what DARTS, D-A-R-T-S, what that stands for, and the origin of it. Yes, so originally DARTS stood for Dakota Area Resources and Transportation Services. It's a mouthful. That's a big moniker, roll off the tongue. It shortened to DARTS, and we're known as DARTS today. So when did the organization begin? What's the history of DARTS? Sure. So the history is our founder, Dick Graham, in 1974, learned of some seniors who wanted to take classes at Inver Hills Community College. They were offering free classes, and seniors were saying, well, I'd love to do that, but I have no way to get there. Right. And he said, well, I can solve this problem. So he made some calls. He secured some used airport limos and was getting people to and from the classes. And then while that was happening, along those rides, they were learning of other needs that older adults had. So it just grew the programs from there. Well, that's interesting. So how long has DARTS been around? I happen to know Dick Graham from serving on the Inver Hills Community College Foundation Board a few years ago. Great. Yeah, so he has a great record of
finding needs and finding solutions for the aging population.
Yes, and creative solutions too.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so
absolutely.
again, 1974, we're nearly 50 years old.
Well, are you celebrating a birthday this year then, your 50th?
2024, so we're gearing up for that.
Okay. Well, that's going to be a big celebration, I suppose.
Yes, absolutely. So we have lots of fun things planned, bringing in some of our previous staff members and board members and partners, specifically in Ver Hills, and getting out into the community to just really celebrate where we've been and where we're going.
Well, DARTS provides fantastic services for people who need that kind of assistance in getting around. How is DARTS funded?
Yes, so we have a variety of funding sources, individual donations, corporate sponsorships, community groups who donate. We have foundation grants, we have government contracts, and also program fees. That's okay. Technology.
Sorry.
That's okay.
I thought I had that turned off. We didn't need that interruption. Anyway, we're talking about the funding for DARTS. So that's part of the role that you have with the organization, is it not?
Yes, it is. So I'm working with our donors, our volunteers, our corporate sponsors, local community groups to really find new ways to partner together and serve as many people as possible.
So maybe some of our viewers who are seeing the program will see this as an opportunity to get involved, to help with the funding of the organization, as well as maybe volunteering with some of the work that you do?
Absolutely, yes. So again, all of our programs rely strongly on community support, and we're grateful for the support we get. But we do have a ton of volunteer opportunities and lots of programs for people to plug in and get involved, and I can talk about a few of those.
Tell us about some of those.
I can talk about a few of those now. I'm going to get my list out so I don't forget any of them because we have so many.
Well, that's fine. We want to hear about as many as you can tell us about.
Yes, so we offer individual opportunities and group opportunities, and groups could be a family, it might be a department at some coworkers who want to get together and make a difference. It could be a community group like the Lions or the Rotary, or even just some neighbors who want to pop together. We help with everything from lawn mowing to spring and fall cleanup, and even snow removal. I'm sorry to say that word in the middle of July.
Yeah, it is Minnesota.
It is Minnesota. It keeps coming. We also have a program called the Breathing Space. So that is a program that gives caregivers the opportunity to get a much-needed break in their day. Their loved one can go and have some a safe place to have some socialization and some fun activities. We pair volunteers with a client for the group. There is a trained staff person who leads those groups, but we need many more volunteers to help with that.
Well, let's talk about that for a moment. How many paid staff does DARTS have, and what are their different roles?
Yes, so we have 51 staff members.
51?
Yes, 20 of those are full-time, and the rest are part-time. And we have a variety of office staff, program management staff, drivers for our buses, homemakers that go into the homes and help with those things. Yeah, and people like myself who get out into the community. We have some communications people too.
Well, that's great that we're able to get this message out to our viewers. Now, where is DARTS headquartered? Where's its operational base?
Our offices are in West St. Paul, and we're right off of Marthaler Lane, close to Robert Street, off of Wentworth.
So we talked about the paid staff, and you mentioned volunteers several times as you were talking about the different programs. How many volunteers do you have to support this wide-ranging group of services that DARTS provides?
Yes, so our last official count, so for each year we do a broad count because we have lots of volunteers who are involved in many activities. So 524 was our previous count, and that number is growing. We're seeing growth this year.
What was the experience during pandemic? don't want to go back and rehash everything that happened during that portion of our history, but how was DARTS and your volunteers impacted by that pandemic?
Yeah, the pandemic turned everything upside down, as it did for many organizations. And we looked at that opportunity to really reimagine how we're offering services. How are we engaging with our clients? What can we do virtually now that we didn't before? And how do we continue making sure that people are feeling connected in a time where people were really isolated? One of those, a really bright spot that came out of that is we saw a need for technology support, because if you're not connected and so many things were going virtual, that's an issue. And older adults sometimes are later to adopt things, or are like, well, I have these 3 remotes, which button do I push? I suffer from that same issue.
Well, I think many of us do, yes.
Yes, so some new programming was born out of that, and we did create a new program called Tech Buddies. So we'll have volunteers who work with older adults to get them connected and learn how to use a smartphone, learn how to use their email, learn to make an appointment on the web, or maybe participate in a telemedicine visit with their doctor, or FaceTime their family and their friends.
Well, that's interesting that the organization was able to turn a bad note into a good note. Mm-hmm. So with this new technology and these new programs that were developed and were an outgrowth of the experience of the pandemic, how has that impacted the volume of services and the number of people that use DARTS?
We're seeing a steady stream of people who continue to want to use our services. We also were experiencing a shortage in workers at that time. So we were starting to see wait lists on some of our programs that hadn't had wait lists before, or hadn't had wait lists that large. For example, homemaking, last year our wait list was up to like 290 people, and now we've gotten that down by, I believe, 100. We're starting to get more homemakers on board and helping more people in their home.
And more people are coming on board as volunteers to help you work down that backlog.
Yes, that is a paid program, forgive me.
Oh, okay.
Yes,
okay.
But volunteers are helping to build capacity in other areas too.
So looking at 2022, how many people, or how many trips maybe is a better statistic, or there are 2 different statistics. How many different people received assistance from DARTS, and how many trips did DARTS make to support people?
Sure. So in 2022, we gave 8,117 rides.
8,117
rides.
In 2022.
Yes, and so many of our clients use our services to go grocery shopping, to pick up prescriptions. They might be going to exercise at the Y, or even have lunch with friends. And we're just happy to help keep them mobile and on the go. And then we do also offer individual rides for appointments. If it's like, well, the loop is great, but I need to be here at this specific time, they can schedule that with us as well.
Do you happen to know how many miles the DARTS buses traversed?
Oh, I don't, but I'll get that to you. I'll get that to you, Bill.
That would be an interesting statistic to understand that. So the drivers of the buses are paid professionals?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep, lots of training and licensure that goes into those positions.
What is the geographical area that DARTS services?
So we are in the Southeast Metro. We serve several major cities in the Southeast Metro, and we're growing. So when I talked earlier, our primary service area is Dakota County, and we're moving over into South Washington County. So that's Highway 61 corridor, and offering transportation there as well.
And you're already offering services there in that portion of Washington County?
Yes, yep, that's a recent expansion for us.
Does your long-range plan have in it expanding into other areas around the Twin Cities?
There is a like organization to ours on the other side of the river, and so we often refer to each other where those borders cross.
Sure,
yes.
Sure. That would make sense, because you want to be as efficient as you can in being able to pick up people and deliver them where they need to go and then get them back home. Mm-hmm. What are the most used types of services that DARTS provides? I mean, you enumerated several types of services or trips that people can take, but what's the most popular?
Boy, that's kind of a trick question. So all of them are needed, I will say that. And I do think most people...
That's a good way to categorize everything that you do.
Yes.
You're meeting a need. Every time you take someone somewhere or do something for someone, you're meeting a need.
Yes, I would say most people think of us as transportation. They see our buses, so they're like, oh, DARTS transportation, yes, and we also have many other things. So as people come into the door, and oftentimes again, like back in the original days, people get on the bus and they learn about the other things that we can help with. Outdoor chores is huge, because if you can stay in the home of your choice for as long as possible, that's such a gift.
That's really important.
It's important.
And it is impactful in the lives of people as they age, to be able to stay in the home that they've lived in for many, many years, and to have to move out of that environment is traumatic.
Yes, and families learning about the supports that are available, it helps them too. You know, we often hear of caregivers saying, I wish I knew about DARTS when I went through this with my mom, with my dad, with my grandparent, with my spouse. And I'm so glad to be here today so we can help more people learn about DARTS and know that we're here to help.
Well, that's part of our mission here at Access to Democracy, is to provide information, useful information as well as interesting information for our viewers, and to have guests like you come on and talk about the kinds of services that your organization provides, I think is a real help for our viewers. So you talked a little bit about the outdoor services. Tell us again what those are, and give us a full list, so that if you can.
Oh yes, so right now lawn mowing is so popular.
That's big.
We just finished spring cleanup, and we help many seniors with their yards. We have lots of corporate support and volunteers that come out to clean up those yards, and it's such a big splash. We do them in a period of a few weeks because we want to get that cleanup ready for the lawn mowing. And then moving now into the fall, we'll have the leaves come down, and then we'll do our fall cleanup, so people can sign up for that. Or to get the service, or to help with seniors in that service.
Right, yes.
Yep, and then again, the snow removal, because it's slippery out there. We don't want anyone falling. Snow is heavy. It can be difficult to move that on your own. So we match snow angels with a client, and they'll come out and make sure that they can have access to their mailbox, have access to their driveway, so that people can come and visit, and their stairs are clear, so there's less risk of falling.
Well, winter in Minnesota, as we can know, can be a difficult and dangerous time for the elderly people as they try to get around. So having that snow removal service has got to be a godsend for them.
We hear that. People say, I don't dread winter anymore.
Well, it's great to be able to say that.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes. And then we talked about the outdoor pieces. I'd like to touch briefly again on the indoor pieces. So we do help with some homemaking, light housekeeping activities, but we also have a light house repairs program. So if people need a faucet changed out, or a light bulb that's really tall, you know, those very tall ceilings, to get someone up on a ladder to change that, we can do that. If they need to get a grab bar installed or something like that, we're able to help with that as well.
So handyman kinds of services to an extent.
Yes.
How does one qualify to get these kinds of services from DARTS? Because I'm presuming that they're free.
Oh, sure. Well, they are a sliding scale in many cases, and our donations and our grants and our government contracts make it more affordable. So it could be low cost or no cost, and I would just encourage everyone to call DARTS to learn about their individual eligibility.
Okay, well, that's a good thing to know, because it's not just a general, it's make a call and it's free for what you want. There are some financial criteria, I guess, that the requester needs to provide to DARTS, so that you can determine whether this is a gratis kind of service, or whether there's some fee associated with it.
Yes, correct. Many of our government contracts in particular have requirements, so we want to make sure if we're applying those funds that we're applying them appropriately.
Of course, yes.
And then we want to make sure that everyone has access to these services because everyone is aging. We could all use a little extra help, so DARTS is here for everyone. We don't want anyone to think, oh, I won't qualify, or that might be too expensive, or conversely, well, I won't qualify because I make too much. Give us a call and we'll work with you.
Well, that's interesting perspective, because I think I heard recently that here in Minnesota, we have more citizens like over the age of 60 than we have students in school in K through 12. Is that something that you relate to?
Yes, it is changing nationwide. That statistic is going to be true everywhere, that there are more older adults than there are young school-age children. And we're again short on the people who can help. So DARTS really wants to step in and fill that gap so that folks can, again, stay where they like to live for as long as possible.
So there are two prongs, I guess, to this message that we want to get to our viewers. First of all, talking about the services that DARTS provides and how to access those services. And I think we have the website and the phone number that's been scrolling on our screen as we've been discussing that.
Perfect.
So that's one aspect. The other aspect is that we want to get the interest of people who would like to volunteer to assist DARTS in providing those services.
Yes, and we have talked about the volunteer opportunities to help older adults. We haven't talked about our opportunities for older adults to volunteer.
Tell us about that, Sarah.
So again, creating connections in the community. We have these two incredible programs. One is called Learning Buddies. The other is Pen Pals. Older adults volunteer to work in the schools to tutor young elementary students in things like writing, reading, math, science, art. And we get many of the volunteers who come back year after year. They're just so enjoying those relationships with the kids, being connected to the school, being connected to their community. And that's the in-person volunteer. That's a learning buddy. And then for those who would prefer to still stay virtual, we have a pen pal opportunity. So they write to kids in the classroom. They exchange letters each month. And it's another way, just again, to create those connections, get some happy mail, and give kids practice with their writing.
You know, Sarah, I was familiar with those programs, but I had no idea that they were part of DARTS, or that that's where they originated. So
we hear that a lot too. So again, I'm so glad we're here to share that word.
Yeah. Well, do you have more secrets about DARTS that you can share with our viewers?
I don't know if this is a secret, but it's something that struck me recently. So I don't know if you've heard about the U.S. Attorney General, who has said that loneliness is a public health crisis.
Yes.
And it's not only for older adults, it's for all the generations. We're seeing it in staggering numbers like we've never seen before. But it really just does show why our mission is so important and why it's really even more important at this time.
Well, it's great to have the opportunity here to talk about these things, but in a few words, what really is the mission of DARTS?
Sure. So our mission is to create connections that enrich aging, and our goal truly is to create this aging journey that's a celebration and no longer feeling like a challenge or a drudgery, because it is something to be celebrated. And sometimes all you need is a little help to do the things that you used to do, so you can just enjoy that same quality of life.
Right.
We do hear too clients say, well, I don't want to rely on my kids for everything, or have to call my neighbor every time I need a ride to the grocery store, or whatever that might be. So our services really do bring back some of that independence, and again, that connectedness. You know, we've talked about that loop route before and the buses. Yes. People are making friends on those buses. So when they're not there, they're calling their friend and saying, well, Sally, we missed you today. Where were you today? And so they really are this rolling community on wheels.
It's an environment for socializing, I think, and riding together on the bus. I mean, sometimes they meet new people and maybe make new friends.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely they do, and they report that in high numbers to us. We take surveys each year to see what people are liking about the services and if there's things we can improve. And again, they're saying, I made a new acquaintance on the bus, or I feel so connected to my community because of DARTS.
Well, that's a great story, isn't it? To be able to connect with others and to find an organization that provides the kinds of services that DARTS does, just really does enrich the lives of those people who are able to take advantage of the kinds of services that you provide. So.
Yes, wonderful.
Well, we've provided on the screen, as we've been talking, Sarah, the web contact and the phone number for people who are interested in connecting with DARTS and maybe arranging to get some of the services that you offer, or perhaps to volunteer to assist with providing some of the services that you offer. So as we wrap up our program today, is there anything else you'd like to share with us about DARTS?
Sure. We haven't talked about it, but we are gearing up for our 12th annual Party It Forward. It's a fundraising event this fall. Everyone is invited. It's happening on Thursday, October 19th from 5 to 7 at the Southview Country Club. It'll be a fun evening with music and food and games and an auction. And we'll also have an online auction. So for folks who aren't able to attend in person, they can participate that way. More information is coming soon on our website. Registration opens early August. Please join us.
Tell us again the date and time.
Sure. Thursday, October 19th from 5 to 7.
At?
Southview Country Club in West St. Paul.
Sounds like an exciting party. I'm going to put it on my calendar.
Oh, good. We'd love
make
to
sure
see
that,
you
that
there.
I can come by and say hello to you and maybe some of the other staff there at DARTS.
That'd be wonderful.
Thank you, Sarah, so much for being our guest today on Access to Democracy. Thank you for sharing with our viewers what DARTS is and how they can take advantage of the services or how they can volunteer to help deliver those services. So good luck to you, Sarah.
Wonderful. Thank you for having me.
6 minutes, 6 seconds.